Hello there guys and gals, my name is Spooky and tonight's video will be the pilot of a new series I'll be calling Spooky Stories. In this first episode we will be going over the brutal case of Kimberly Hill and her son/murderer Kevin Davis, or as I call him, the bored killer. If you don't already know the story then you're in for a few shocks, but if you do know the story then you may also be interested in knowing that I actually went to school with Kevin and even had a couple classes with him. But this video and story isn't about me, so with that out of the way, let's just get into it. On the morning of March 27th, 2014, at approximately 10 a.m., Corpus Christi police were dispatched to the 4300 block of Castores Road by the Nueces County Sheriff's Office on a wellness check after a call was made by someone claiming to have committed a murder there a day prior. And to their surprise, a shocking discovery, the half-naked body of 50-year-old Kimberly Hill lay before them on the floor of her apartment. She had appeared to have been brutally beaten and stabbed to death. It was evident that her skull had been smashed and stabbed repeatedly. If this wasn't enough, it was also evident that her corpse had been raped. All this in itself is horrific and shocking, but the piece that makes this all too gruesome is that the caller and killer was no one other than her own 18-year-old son, Kevin Davis. Before we go any further, let's go back to where this all began. Just a day prior, on March 26, 2014, according to multiple news articles, Kevin went into the living room where his mother was to talk to her about how he had been feeling bored with life, that he hated everyone, and that he just wanted to die. So he requested permission to kill himself. After some time conversing, Kimberly concluded her discussion with something along the lines of, "Well, I can't control your actions." This is what is said to have triggered him, though that's debatable. If this is the case, then I personally think he was seeking attention and didn't get the response he wanted. Anyways, after this conversation, Kevin decided to try and strangle his mother with a cord from a video game controller. But when Kimberly screamed, likely out of fear, he then retrieved a hammer and proceeded to smash her repeatedly in the head, approximately 20 times, fracturing her skull and knocking her unconscious. It's unclear what exactly was going through his head, but Kevin then drags his mother into the bedroom where he continued to strike her with a hammer and stab her skull with a knife to ensure that she had died. The next day, a couple watching TV in their home hears a knock at the door. Naturally, they answer it, only to find an exhausted Kevin Davis standing in their doorway, asking for a phone to call police and telling them that he had murdered someone.
911, location emergency.
Yes, ma'am. Someone just knocked on my door. He's here at my door right now, and he wanted me to call 911 because he said he just murdered someone.
According to one of the written plans his mom discovered, he had planned to murder her by an axe, wait until it was dark to travel to his sister's apartment to kill her and escape via Greyhound bus. But that didn't happen. Kevin decided against killing his sister, seeing as he had already, quote, had his fill. He instead changed his clothes, packed his bags, left a few notes for his sister and police, hopped on his bike and took off to leave Corpus Christi for good. At some point in the night, during his bike ride, Kevin had come to the realization of the gravity of what he had just done and knew that it was all over for him and that he might as well just turn himself in. With that in mind, he abandoned his bike and his backpack and continued to walk until the next day before stumbling across the first house he could find. Here's an idea of how far he rode and walked. To me, it seems this crime was more impulsive than calculated, but I'm no detective. Here's a video and audio clip of the interrogation of Davis. I do want to warn everyone listening that this is not for the faint of heart.
I tried to strangle her with a cord, ripped the cord from a video game console controller. That didn't work. She was sitting on the couch watching TV. Okay. That didn't work out too well. She started screaming, and so I went to her room, opened a drawer at the very bottom to the right. I pulled out a hammer. I went back into the living room, and well, you kind of get the gist from there. And she was out pretty quickly.
Questioning by CCPD detectives R.L. Garcia and Ramiro Torres continued.
So when you dragged her to the living room, to the bedroom, you kept on hitting her there?
Yeah, kind of.
That's where that's when you reached in and grabbed her brain?
Yeah, I kicked at it a bit. Then I just, that was kind of silly, but then I just decided to reach in and kind of just do it.
Mm-hmm. And then what did you do after that?
Then I had sex with her corpse, actually.
This was just the first time?
Oh yeah, I lost my virginity to a corpse.
How many times you were there in the living room?
At least 20, but then she was still alive. I dragged her into the room, as you clearly saw. I just knew it was time to act now or never.
You feel sorry you did this to your mom?
In a way, yes, but I wouldn't take back what I did. It's strange, really. I did love her.
You being mean to me?
Oh, no, she's been the best mother.
How long have you had this thought in your brain?
It's around my preteens, actually. I just accepted it as a part of me. I wasn't really ashamed of it. It just was what it was.
Did you ever tell anybody else what your plans were? What you wanted to do, your mom or your sister?
No, but Over the years, there were hints. We used to have a gray cat named Claire. I strangled it, I drowned it, and then I cut it open. And family looks past that kind of stuff, or they try to not look at it.
Start at the beginning, man. What caused all this?
I asked my mother for permission to die, or rather kind of commit suicide. I'm bored with life. I don't like life. I don't like people. I don't like living it, basically. So the plan to kill both my mother and my sister has always been a thing of mine. And no, she was distraught over it, of course. I mean,
Of course.
she had decided she was sick of this stuff. She was going to go send me to live with my sister again. So I kind of leapt off in a fury and just did it right then and there. I decided against it because, well, I'd had my fill of killing. I didn't seem a little much.
You remember what the note said?
Keep your head. Hurry. She might still be alive, although I highly doubt it in parentheses.
Are you just messing with Jazrael by writing that she might still be alive?
And my sick sense of humor, I was pretty well off my rocker by then. Initially, my plan was just to run as far as I can, but then I ended up crying my eyes out in like the thick woods, like, what did I do? I knew that my life wasn't going to go anywhere, not anymore.
Do you consider you mentally disturbed? Do you consider yourself crazy?
I'm sane. I know exactly what I did. I know that it's wrong in the traditional sense of wrong. I don't have standards or morals. Body's a body, and in the end, piece of meat. I guess it's harsh to say.
Investigators also asked him what his mom did to deserve this, to which David replied, "Absolutely nothing. I'm just a terrible, disgusting person." 10 days after the tragic event, the community of Corpus Christi came together and held a benefit for Kimberly's daughter, Jazrael Hill, in her time of need. 3 months later, the first court trial was held for Kevin. In it, the gruesome details of Kimberly's murder were discussed. This includes the taped confession of Kevin. The horrible things discussed range from killing and sexually abusing a cat's corpse, to a fake suicide note, to the testimony of psychiatrist Dr. Joel Kutnick, who was quoted saying, "He used a hammer to kill his mother, and of course his skull split open. He wanted to make certain that she was dead. He stuck his hand in the skull and mixed up the brains. Then I think he told me he got a knife and mixed them up. Then he also said that it felt like putty, the consistency of her brain tissue. And then he said something about he tasted the brain." Even with the confession, testimony from the doctor, and overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence suggesting that he did in fact murder his mother, Kevin pleaded not guilty, and so the court adjourned and he was hauled off back to his cell to await a second trial, which didn't come until 7 months later, in which he pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole. That's right, the guy who brutally murdered and raped his own mother has a chance of getting out March 25th, 2044. He'll be 48 years old at that time. After his trial and sentencing, Kevin was immediately incarcerated at Jester 4 unit, which is a psychiatric facility, and a tough one at that. This unit houses some of the most violent and mentally disturbed inmates in Texas. It has a 41 violent incident reports per 100 inmates. The average in Texas is 8 per 100. The only facility probably worse than this is the Montford unit, which it just so happens is where Kevin Davis was moved sometime this year. I don't know exactly why or when this happened, but his inmate information shows that he is now housed in the Montford unit near Richmond, Texas. This place is also a psychiatric facility. It has a history of cruel and unusual punishments, sexual assault, and violation of civil liberties. It's too much to go into, but if you want to read just how messed up this place is, I'll provide a link in the description. In conclusion, I don't know what to make of this. It's just so gruesome and senseless. It was reported that the couple he turned himself into asked why he killed his mother, which his answer was many reasons and nothing else, which is contrary to what he told police. I guess there's no telling what was really going through his head that day. What can be said for sure is that Kevin Davis did a horrible thing that hurt a lot of people. If you're a friend or family member of Kimberly Hill, my condolences. I didn't know Kimberly personally, but from what I could gather, she was a hardworking, caring, and adventurous woman. She had honorably served in the United States Marine Corps, enjoyed skydiving, and was family-oriented, and pursued a career in hospice. All in all, this is a very sad and dark story. I don't know what to take away from this, only that it offers a small peek into the dark side of human nature. There may be a follow-up on the story, but we will just have to wait and see. Until then, I'm Spooky, and this marks the end of my story. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode of Spooky Stories, and remember to enjoy life and have a wonderful day.